Welcome to part one of the RLD Getting Started tutorials. In these tutorials, we're going to create a RLD project that takes incoming data from simulated IoT devices and does three things with it. One, it stores it so that you can see it just like a database. It makes it available for other applications that might be in your business to get access to that data. And then we're also going to alert on the data that comes in, looking for errors, looking for warnings, and sending out text messages or notifications when something goes wrong. And in this first video, we're just going to start with getting data into our project. So since we're just getting started, you should be on this screen if you just created an RLD account. But if you're not, that's okay. Click on Project List on the left side. Let's go ahead and click Add a New Project. When you see that new tile come up, click on that, and here we are. So first thing that you're going to do once you're at this page is click on Properties at the top, and we're going to change the name of this. We're going to call this our IoT Monitoring Project. Once we've done that, we're actually going to go get data into our system by going to the left and clicking on Input Connectors. We'll click on Manage, and then you'll notice that this is where a large list of input connectors can live as we add more to our project. But for now, we're just going to create one by clicking Add a New Input Connector. We're going to do an HTTP receive. So if you've heard of HTTP, that's awesome. For those who haven't, if you've ever heard the term webhook or you've heard things like REST or an API, this is what we're going to be building. Somewhere where people can use a standard method to put data into our project. And lots of IoT devices use this HTTP protocol. So we're going to click OK on that. I'm going to change the name of this to IoT Data Input. Awesome. And now we're going to click on it to begin editing it. And this is really easy. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this into testing mode. And testing mode allows us to protect our data. So no data is actually going to go into our system, but it is going to be recognized by this input connector, and it'll help us take that data and format it for once we're ready to put it into our data system. So let me show you what I mean. Click on this URL here. This is an automatically generated URL that's impossible for anyone to guess as to keep your project and your data secure. We're going to go to the wiki on RLD, and in case you don't have the wiki open, I have a link in the description of the RLD One wiki. Once you're there, make sure that you've clicked on First Data Input on the left and click on Push Data to the copied URL, and we'll see this right here pop up. We're going to take that URL that we just copied and put that right in here, and you're going to put your name in here, or any name for reference. And I'm going to click on this Send Normal Data button. We'll use this later in this Getting Started series. So I'm going to click Send Normal Data. Awesome. I'm going to go back here and we're going to make sure that data is coming in and then format it to go into our project the way that we want. So I'm going to click on Incoming Fields. We're going to see all of these pop up. So I have the name that I gave it, a date that it generated, and it also randomly generated two pieces of data that an IoT device might record, such as pressure and temperature. I'm going to click on Field Map. This is where things can get fairly complicated, but I'm going to give you a basic setup for mapping this data into your RLD project. So first things first, let's add all of these guys into this little click or drag box here. Okay, awesome. Now, what this is doing is it's taking the data that was coming in that we just put in, and it's giving us a way to translate it. And it's done a whole bunch of work using AI and expert systems to guess exactly what that data looks like. For example, it knows that the name is text, it knows that the date is a date field, and that these two numbers here are just numbers, right, for pressure and temperature. All we need to do now is go to our field configuration and tell RLD how we want that field to show up in the rest of our project. What's a name that will help us keep track of it? So for example, I'm going to call this field the name field. So when we go and do things like data visualizations, we know we're working with the name field. And for this one, I'm going to go call it the time field. And likewise, I'm going to call this one pressure. And the last one, temperature. All right, once you've done that, All that's left to do is to turn this input connector on, which gets rid of the testing safeguards and just allows data to start coming in to our data set, while still making sure that RLD does all its work to keep your endpoint secure. So I'm going to click run, and I'm going to go back to the wiki with the same endpoint name, and I'm going to put in a couple more pieces of data. So I'm going to click on that button a few times, and now I can go back here, I can click on my data sets on the left. We should have a default data set, as you can see here. I'm going to click on that, and on the left I'm going to open my data set fields and drag in the fields that I want to see as part of this data set. And look at that. Everything we put in, it's not only showing me the pressure and the temperature, but it's giving me my name and the time that it came in. In the next few videos, we're going to look at what can you do now that you have this data inside of your RLD project.